All right, everybody, welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. And you can tell I'm squinting because it's super bright outside today. That's your weather report for after the hurricane. Definitely keeping everybody down in the Fort Myers area in our thoughts, because it got really rowdy down there. Really wasn't too bad up here at all. With hurricanes, you just never know where they're going to end up going. But we're back at work. It's Friday, and you can see we've got another rig here. And we're gonna go walk in the shop and show you who that is. So, like I said, new trailer here. You guys haven't seen that before. No, it doesn't have the thing. Oh, okay, that might be a little bit of a clue. We kind of snuck it in under the Viper. Drew actually is off today because he had to run down to Lakeland for something. But it's Jamie from PFI.
What's up, man?
Woo! So Jamie's got FL2K next week, right?
Yep.
Cool
we
deal.
got a little work to do, so.
But you're swapping the turbo for World Cup.
Yeah.
But you're going to use FL2K for a test.
Yep. With our elevation in Colorado, putting a smaller turbo on is pointless to try and test it there.
Gotcha.
So come down here, good weather, good air.
True.
Test it down here for World Cup. So
all right, well,
this is our class legal turbo for World Cup. So
well,
this is one of the first ones. So
right now I see it's Wi-Fi turbo.
Yep.
So
exactly.
We're going to do some working to connect there down to there.
Yep.
So cool. Well, let's get started on this project. Well, first order of business, got to pull that off, and the idea is no connection at the turbo. It's just going to go, or at the manifold.
Yep.
So right into the turbo. I like that. Less failure points.
Yeah. Less adjustment points, less failure points.
Yeah.
So this was like our first rendition of this manifold, and then we built a new one. So we're going back and reusing this part of this one.
Gotcha. And basically you're doing this, and you're going to have, do you swap the header, I guess, for the other turbo too?
Yeah, so basically
okay.
The other turbo will just be mounted to the other header.
Gotcha.
And the only thing they'll really share is the exhaust.
Gotcha.
So just one V-band, and you can change the whole turbo kit across.
And that's the intercooler is set up with the V-band that fits right to the turbo, so that's all easy to take care of.
Yeah.
Cool deal.
There's that.
Well, I'm going to slice just the V-band off to begin with, and then see how far a 3-inch pipe slides over it, because I can't do that yet.
Yeah. Darn V-bands.
All right, well, took me a little minute to get to that, but we've got something to work with there. Well, now the fun part of actually making everything permanent.
Yeah, I like it though. That looks way good.
Nice and
so
simple.
my other manifold, this elbow's 2 3/4. So we went to 3-inch.
A little less restriction on the side, which we're doing a back pressure, you said. So
yep. Yeah, it'll go probably right around here. It looks like. Yep, that'll work out perfect.
Sweet. Cool deal. Well, I'm gonna start welding some stuff together. Well, there comes a time in any fab project where you really gotta cut in and start making things permanent. And you can kind of see basically what I'm doing now is fixing or removing the metal from where the 3-inch pipe is overlapped onto the header collector. So I kind of had ground some crescents, I guess you could call them, into that 3-inch piece of pipe, so that they tucked into the the lower spots of the header collector. And then once we got all the fitment nice in the car, I fit the or I drew a line around the where the overlap was, so that I could then remove all the pipe, so that there would be as little restriction as possible on the transition from the 4 tubes into it's basically the header collector now, which drops right into the turbo. So with any fabrication project, whether it's on a V8 or a 4-cylinder or a inline 6, in my mind, you want to keep the exhaust paths as smooth as possible, not have any neck downs and then opening back up, because you're just creating, back pressure, and specifically more talking about turbo exhaust. Like, you never want to, neck it down and then raise it back up again, because you're just creating turbulence, which is just making the exhaust flow unhappy, et cetera, et cetera. So onto the welding now, and you can see that I've got my foil caps on the end of the pipes, or on the ends of the pipe. And I've always kind of used that. It's a cheap method to be able to cap the ends of the pipe so that I can back purge. There are some kits out there that are nice as far as being able to just plug the ends of the pipe and hook a hose to them, but speed and simplicity, the foil really works well. I mean, it takes, 30 seconds each end of the pipe, and with the foil, I can make anything work. So I can wrap it around a square flange. I can wrap it around a wastegate flange. I can wrap it around that weird flange that I cut that fits this the end of the turbo manifold or the header, and I can't do that with like a kind of pre-fit piece of pipe or a pre-fit plug like some of the kits that are out there. So like I said, foil's cheap and it works really well. So that's what I've kind of always used. And I mean, maybe we'll get one of those nicer kits, because I could definitely see where they would come in handy for like header fabrication, where you're, doing the same pipes over and over and over again, and you could just stick the caps in, start your back purge. But when it comes to like the turbo manifold fabrication side of things, the foil trick is pretty hard to beat. So now we can see we're mocking it up in the car, and you'll notice what I did is first we mocked it up in the car originally, made sure the pieces fit and where everything was really close, and then I welded the pipe. And now that I've got those two pieces of pipe welded together, then I came back, fit it again, and then welded the pipe to the turbo flange. And then once I get done with all that, I'm going to come back and weld the whole welded assembly to the turbo manifold itself. And I do that because, especially with stainless, things move and flex around with stainless enough so that if I just like put the three pieces there, the two pieces of pipe and the turbo flange, and I tack welded them all together in the car originally, if I were to just take that to the bench and weld it all up in one shot, chances are stuff would move enough that we would lose the fitment of the manifold, would not fit the turbo where it's placed in the car. Now, it might move 1/8 of an inch, it might move 3/16 of an inch, but when things are really tight, sometimes you can't afford to have that movement. So what I like to do is kind of fit pieces as I go, and then there's only one joint at a time that I'm having to maybe touch up a little bit or grind a little bit here, or which we had to do that with this fitment here on the pipe to the header. So now that the engine is connected to the turbo with the manifold, now we need to add the wastegate provision, which you can kind of see that I left out some fabrication footage here. So it's already kind of a long enough time lapse, but I'm to the point where I'm fitting the pipe that I've fabricated that's going to connect the manifold to the wastegate. I fit that, and I traced out my circle where it mates to the pipe there, and then trimmed it out. And usually what I do is when I get the fitment really good, I only leave like a 1/16 of an inch inside of my line so that I've got a nice, open hole leading to the wastegate. You don't want to have a nice piece of pipe and barely have any hole size that's allowing the airflow to flow through, to the wastegate. The better flow you have to your wastegate, the better boost control you're going to have. And that's always a good thing. So another little trick here that you might have just seen is I only foil capped one side of that wastegate thing while I was welding the flange to it. So argon is heavier than air. And if you cap off the bottom, like I did there, and I knew I wasn't going to be flipping that thing around and moving it all over, basically I filled up the pipe with argon, and then I was able to, weld around the flange, and the back side of the weld had argon against it, because even though I can't see it, the argon was inside of that cup, we could call it, where the wastegate pipe was laying on the bench and was capturing all of the argon. And it was like any argon that was leaking out, the only place it had to leak out was actually through the seam where I was welding the flange to the pipe. And now that I've got all that done, cap every part of the flange, or the turbo manifold. You can see, I've got the flange taped off, and the back purge line run into there. Let it run for a couple of minutes before I came back over and started welding the wastegate flange on, the wastegate pipe in the flange. And then all we've got left is the turbo back pressure once I get that welded on, and then it'll be time to bolt this thing back on, get it all assembled, and then see what else we got to fabricate to get this thing wrapped up so Jamie can go racing this weekend. All right, so I kind of missed a little talking points there during the video, but we are about done, at least with the harder to fab side.
Yeah.
And that kind of worked out well, where it's got a little bit of, it's not 100% priority. Like, probably the better spot would have been over here straight, but with that big of a wastegate in it, I expect it's going to have pretty good boost control. And I think we've got a pretty good alignment there. Everything looks good. Let's bolt this sucker on.
Yeah, I like it.
Bolt that sucker onto there, and then all we got to make is a dump for the wastegate.
Yeah.
Now, here's the big question.
Let's actually bolt. Should we bolt the turbo to the manifold first?
I don't know.
I think we should, because the studs.
We need to make one more stud.
Yep, we need to make one more stud.
Now, the real important question, are we going to be able to drive it in a trailer?
If I pour oil in it, and if I just throw the EGTs in it, yeah, I can. So.
I mean, we got to have a payoff at the end. It's at least got to drive in the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
We don't want to push it.
We're on
a winch in that one.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get back to work. So after getting the manifold fabricated, like I said a second ago, we're going to bolt this thing together. And the last thing we have to fabricate is the pipe from the exit of the wastegate out through the hood. Obviously, we don't just want the wastegate venting up under the hood, and Jamie's already had the hood cut to where it blows the exhaust out of the wastegate up through the hood. So we got to get everything bolted back on. Thankfully, everything fits once I got the the manifold and the wastegate flange and everything fully welded. The turbo still fits to the intercooler. All that's still good. And then we're going to move on to bolting this, or at least starting the fabrication for the wastegate dump. And you can kind of see it's a lot of folding over and bending around and working under the Viper right now, because the Viper is still up above the car. So we couldn't lift the car up in the air even a little bit, which probably would have helped us out. But Jamie's putting oil in it while I start welding the piece on the for the wastegate dump. And maybe it's the same for you guys, but even with myself, and I fabricate and do a lot of work, but there are days where things go like super easy. There's days that don't go super easy. And to start this project, when I was first working on that pipe that went from the header to the turbo, like, it threw me for a loop for a good 30 minutes. Like, I couldn't fit the thing in the right direction. I wasn't grinding the pipes or, sanding on them to get them to fit where they needed to fit. And I just kept pushing, and then things finally all came together. Now, the opposite thing happened on this wastegate pipe. Like, literally, I think we had this fabricated in like 30 minutes, ground on the hood a little bit to clear it, because this was a larger wastegate dump pipe than what they had before. And it went together literally. Each cut was perfect first time, cleaned the ends up, welded it together. We had to do a flange or a tab on the wastegate pipe to then tie it to the downpipe itself. And I did a really good job grabbing that while it was hot, and I've got a nice blister on my hand from where that all went down, but it all went together really well. And then now it's time to crank this thing back up, get it in the trailer so they can go racing. All right, well, we are bolting on the final piece. Please stay. Give me just a second. This is probably very warm. Ow, yeah, it's warm. Ow. Ow. All right. It still fits. That's a good thing. That's tight. All right. Well, aside from cranking it up and driving it in the trailer, that is a wrap. I already kind of modified on the hood a little bit. Looky there. Vroom vroom noises. Incoming. Put a fresh battery in it, but I think we're good. Boy, you don't have a whole lot of front tire clearance with those tires on it.
These tires are my drag and drive tires and my going in a trailer tires.
Gotcha.
Really tall, because this only has 4 gears.
Very, very close to your fuel cell.
Yeah, yeah, way close. I can't turn all the way.
All right, let's see if she still runs. Might need a little bit of a battery charge. Oh, come on. We're spinning. It's on methanol. See the moisture coming out of there. Sweet. Well, that wraps up that project. And there's something over there that'll be our next video that I think you guys are going to want to see too. Let's wrap this up in a second with Jamie. And then we'll wrap this night up. All right, well, as you saw, it cranked up and drove in the trailer. So that's exciting. And then Jamie's going racing next week.
Yep, FL2K.
At Bradenton, which those guys say they're gonna be able to get the track all doctored back up. You saw the one billboard fell down for the race, or at the track. So they got some work to do there. And then, oh, this, you can't see that yet. No, can't, it's not there. That's my Danger Ranger truck. It is there, but there's a couple more outside too, which I'll have to see how all that goes. But you're back on the road?
Yep, back on the road, heading down towards Tampa and keep
working. It ended up being a little late because we had to unload these things, and
you know, stuff happens. I didn't mind hanging out for a little longer here.
Yeah, it's a good time, man.
This is, you know, sometimes it's hard to find a place that you can just go work on your car with somebody else and get some help. And I really enjoyed working here.
Yeah, man, it's a good time. Hopefully,
nice hanging out.
You're back for sick week. Like, we're gonna have a party here for sick week like we did last year. So any of you guys that are on sick week, or even if you're not on sick week and you're close, I forget which night. It'll be the night after South Georgia, because then we race Gainesville the next day, so it'll be the morning before we race Gainesville. I don't remember if that's Wednesday or Thursday, but that day. Look at the schedule yourself, and yeah, we're gonna have a party here. Hopefully we get Soccer Mom back fixed before then. Got some plans in the works to try and get the coolant pressure situation fixed. Yeah, we gotta do something. Make that car go faster too, so. Well, I guess you guys obviously know Jamie and Brent have a channel, so go check out their channel. And I guess that'll do it for this video. See you guys next time.